What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Today is going to be an excerpt from Fight the Flat Earth's video. I helped him out with one of his videos, which he just pretty much has me tearing through a JM Truth thing. So I figured that I would start out with JM Truth's first Flat Earth video and see what evidence he actually has for the Flat Earth and truly analyze where he's coming from. So if you're interested in this and how disingenuous as fuck JM Truth is, then please stay tuned. Alright, so first we have something that's become common with the Flat Earth community, and that's his mischaracterization of what exactly is science and what isn't science, or rather, what is pseudoscience.
But if you're really interested in this, I would encourage you to do your own research, encourage you to do good research, and not just believe what mainstream science, which I call pseudoscience. I don't even call mainstream science real science anymore.
So after this clip, you might be thinking, well, hold on, what does he consider actual science? What does he consider pseudoscience? Well, luckily, in a debate with Sean Hawkins recently, he elaborated on this.
The reason I said all these other sciences were pseudosciences because the so-called sciences on the right can't perform experiments. They can't even... Then the last six can't perform a hypothesis. Okay, it's been proven they are not sciences. So I'm not even going to debate it. I'm not going to argue with you. If you can show me one example of a legitimate hypothesis and a legitimate experiment, then we'll discuss it. But until then, we're not going to.
Yes. So apparently, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, geology, evolutionary biology, apparently all of these are not in fact sciences, but they are pseudoscience to him. So it's quite interesting that he uses this, considering the fact that we're about to go over what he considers actual evidence and actual scientific rigor. But to be clear, I want to state that all of these are indeed scientific fields. Just so you know what actually constitutes whether or not a field is scientific, generally it has to meet at least most of these particular characteristics. It has to have clearly defined terminology. It has to have a quality of quantifiability. Highly controlled conditions is also very important, as well as reproducibility and predictability and testability. So any field that stands up to the rigor set forth by these principles can be considered a scientific field. And so all of these pseudosciences that he lists here, it is indeed not pseudoscience. These are actual scientific fields. With the exception of a few on this list, because, I mean, he lists like astrology on here. That's obviously not scientific. So let's go on and see what is the foundation of JM Truth's proof for a flat earth.
Please remember, we were commanded by the Savior to do all things in love. I'm not telling any of you, you obviously have to believe as I do. I'm simply sharing with you this interesting information and perspective. I'm going to start with the scriptures, and then we're going to look at and move past that to the scriptures into other evidence.
Apparently he uses his own particular holy text in order to lay the groundwork for his entire worldview. And he also uses it for his evidence later. So I guess you could say that he employs pseudoscience because holy books are definitely not scientific.
Here's a photo that has been split up into 3 levels. Here we see sea level, sky level, and upper atmosphere, first level. Using NASA's own law of curvature, this chart you see here, what we see in this picture is something we should not be seeing.
So here JM is trying to provide some evidence outside of his scriptures, but really, I mean, he's just showing this in order to support his scriptures or to validate his scriptures or to show that his scriptures hold truth in some way. So that's all that he's using this evidence for. But let's actually attack the evidence that he provides. First off, he misrepresents the 8 inches per mile squared, labeling it as NASA's equation. At best, you could say that this is a land surveyor's equation, because the equation is actually only fairly accurate within, a few miles, or a very short distance, really. Because it actually maps a parabola. It doesn't map a sphere. And it's real funny because if you notice on his little display there, he's actually got an Excel equation that you can put into Excel and calculate, I guess, how much distance is hidden by the curve. But if you'll notice there, it's not 8 inches per mile squared. This really gets at the heart of what JM does and what you'll notice as we continue. JM regularly misrepresents the truth. As you can see on this one, he's misrepresenting what is even on his little figure there. Also, to discuss this whole horizon rising to eye level, however high you go, that's indeed not accurate. There are plenty of videos that you can go to out there that actually have, a drone going up and seeing the horizon drop.
The Earth, according to NASA, drops 8 inches squared every mile. And so as we get higher from the Earth should disappear from our view. But as you can see, this is not what happens here.
See, this part right here is very wrong, because we shouldn't see the Earth disappear as we get higher, and maybe this is a bit semantical of an argument, but I feel like it highlights just how disingenuous he is, because as you get higher up, you should see more and more of the spherical Earth, not that the Earth should be disappearing. So I don't even know why he's saying that that the globe Earth should be disappearing on a globe Earth model, but it doesn't. We just see more and more of the surface area of the Earth.
Another interesting fact to consider. Everyone likes to throw out the term physics, especially with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has a doctorate in astrophysics. Well, I think he's a spokesperson more than anything, but that's just me.
Oh, sorry. This is not really any kind of point. He just likes to shit on other people and their degrees, and he likes to stand on his soapbox of degrees. If you've watched him for any amount of time, you know he loves to do this.
We are told that the sun is about 93 million miles away. We were also told that the sun is about 109 times the size of the Earth. That would mean that the light coming off the sun and the light it gives off should dwarf our planet. This means we should not see any pinpoint of light at any point on the Earth. If in fact that is the case, and light travels straight in space due to it being a vacuum according to NASA, then can someone please explain to me how we have such a small hotspot on the Earth? Being both a cinematographer and a photographer, I understand that a hotspot is created when a light source is directly above or directly on the object being lit up. Again, this seems to defy the laws of true physics. Any takers? Because this picture clearly shows a hotspot on the planet Earth, implying that possibly the sun is just above those clouds, because otherwise there shouldn't be a hotspot. So, again, I ask, any takers? None? Okay, moving on.
Wait a second. Is he actually using a picture of the sun above the Earth and claiming that this proves that the Earth is flat, while at the same time showing picture of the curve right there? No, these hot spots that he sees right there is actually just reflections coming off of a highly reflective surface on the Earth, like water, something like that. This isn't a hot spot like you would see in photography, or if you were at a different perspective looking at the Earth and seeing the glare from the sun coming off the Earth. Also, he showed a picture of crepuscular rays. That's bullshit. Those rays are indeed parallel, and it's only because of your perspective that they appear to be sort of angled. He would know this if he actually had any kind of photographic sense, or maybe if he was like a cinematographer or something, which he isn't.
Let's take a look at some maps here, shall we? Here is a map from 1943 from CBS at the American School of the Air. Now, this is a map called a polar projection. I think it's interesting they call it that. considering the fact that I'm going to show you another map that they identify differently. Now this map here is called the Gleason's map, and it is a sailor's map, what the sailors used to use for navigational charts. If you look at the top of this map, here it says New Standard Map of the World, and look here, it says as it is. Interesting. So if this is what the world looks like, can someone please tell me what this is? Oh yeah, it's CGI. That's right. Folks, it's a composite. Go look at NASA's website.
Oh god, the Gleason's map. You know, this is the bane of my existence, really. So just because the Gleason's map says as it is, doesn't mean that he actually thought that the world was flat. Also, you will notice on this particular map, it designates that this is a projection, which means that they took another object and they projected it onto a flat surface. That object being a sphere, of course. But as you have noticed so far, JM loves to distort the truth even when he's showing it directly to you. Now, the globe that he shows in this particular instance is also a composite, but you can tell that he doesn't actually have any kind of like photographic or cinematography kind of knowledge, or at least he wasn't good at it, because he would know that CGI and composite are completely different fucking things. It cannot be both CGI and a composite. The image that he showed is that famous blue marble too that all the flat earthers love to put out there, saying that, oh, it's Photoshop. Because it has to be. Well, it's a composite. It's a visualization of a lot of different data sets that revealed to us many different things about our Earth, including its shape. You know, I can't really take much more. There's like 15 more minutes of his video. I'll probably look through it and address it some other time. In conclusion, I have determined that JM Truth is just a disingenuous pseudoscience peddler. All he does is misrepresent evidence that he brings forward and tries to distort the truth of the things that he's actually showing you in order to fit his narrative or his faith to support his scriptures. His entire argument is based on his faith in the Bible, or whatever the fuck it is he might believe. He references the New Testament and the Old Testament. Like, I've seen him reference Matthew and shit. So I don't know what the fuck he is. Thank you, heathens, for making it to the end. Hey, have you left a comment down below with your thoughts on what JM Truth was spouting in this video? No? Go down there right now and leave me a comment. While you're down there, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you like this shit, and don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens!